The Anunnaki and Neteru. I urge you to listen to this video with an open mind and heart in order to get a clear and complete understanding of this message. Let your soul guide you with right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. Of the many videos and books I have created, some are arguably more profound than the rest. The Anunnaki and Neteru are mentioned in almost every Nuwapian scroll, and are to me one of the most significant topics I'll ever discuss. Its depth and impact on society is tremendous. Join me on this insightful production as I discuss the Anunnaki and Neteru. The Neteru are Egyptian gods, while the Anunnaki are Sumerian gods. Let's start with the Anunnaki. The scroll, Ancient Egypt and the Pharaohs, asks the question, who are the Anunnakis? Anunnaki means those who came down in 50s, or those who are sent from heaven to earth. Anunnakis are olive-toned, woolly-haired beings. The Anunnakis received their name when they came down to Earth. They are a race of supreme beings, not spooks, ghosts, or apparitions. Anunnaki is just another name for Riskians, meaning providers. The Anunnaki are those beings that Anu, the Most High, sent down from heaven to Earth in sets of 50s, while on the planet Earth under an appointed being. They received the name Anunnaki when they came to Key, Earth, 600 in all out of 900. The 300 who didn't come to Earth were the Igigi, whose names mean those who stayed in the skies, and the Sumerians translate it as those who see and observe. They crashed down in the Persian Gulf, known to Arabs as the Arabian Gulf or Sea, and broke up into two groups of 300. The Persian Gulf is just south of Sumer, Akkad, and other ancient cities. Another word for Sumer is Shinar, meaning flatlands, country of rivers. Shinar is mentioned in Genesis 10:10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Some of the Anunnaki are Anu, Enki, Enlil, Inanna, Ninni, Nagal, Arishkagal, Tammuz, Dumuzi, Erishkagal, amongst many others. Anu is the chief god of the Anunnaki. Nagal appears in the Bible in 2 Kings 17:30 and Tammuz, Ezekiel 8:14. The Sumerian name Ninti means Lady of the Rib or Lady of Life. One of Ninti's names is Hawa, which in Hebrew means Mother of all living. The Black Book says Ninti mixed her blood with 14 females of the Homo erectus to fashion a new being, Adam, 49,000 years ago. One source says this superior Anunnaki specimen used 20% of her genetic material and 80% of an inferior human specimen, the Homo erectus. The Anunnaki are mentioned in ancient texts of Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians lived, e.g., the Enuma Elish, Atrahasis, the Gilgamesh epics, the Tablet of Etana, and many others, written in cuneiform script. They are also spoken of in modern-day books by Dr. York, such as The Holy Tablets, Mission Earth and Extraterrestrials, Man from Planet Risk, or Zachariah Sitchin's Earth Chronicles series, including 12th Planet and The Lost Book of Enki. Robert Temple, David Icke, Eric von Daniken, and the Ancient Alien series also cover it heavily. The Holy Tablets, also known as the Nuwapian Bible, says the Anunnaki set up bases on the planet Mars 450,000 years ago before coming to the planet Earth. Look into the face of Mars and you will see cities, pyramids, and even evidence of canals that once carried water on the planet. This was done by the Anunnaki. They were abducting Homo erectus, which is an early species of human, from Earth to Mars, where they were genetically bred into smarter and more evolved humans, Homo sapiens, from the Anunnaki's more advanced DNA. What's left on Mars are remnants of an ancient Egyptian-type civilization. Knowledge of the Mars or Adama project, as it is called, adds new meaning to the Bible stories, seeing as it was plagiarized from ancient Egypt and Sumeria in the first place. We see in Genesis 1:26, And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. This is translated by Dr. York to, and the Elohim Anunnaqi Enki, the one appointed for the breeding from the Elohim, the Anunnaqi Ninki, procreated people, Homo sapiens of the Adamites, looking like herself, and the Elohim, the Anunnaqi, procreated them into one they called Adam and Eve. This is how she, Ninki, procreated them. Gods appear in Hebrew in the Keyword Study Bible, number 430, as the title Elohim in plural form, meaning gods, and in singular as Elo. In the Nawapian Rites prayer from the scroll Pa-Ashutat, it gives reverence to angels by saying, and in the four races who created and grew us, Elul, Namos, Anunaqi, Neteru, and all those sent, the heavenly ones. According to people of the sun, melanin is a gift from the Anunnaki. The origin story of the Anunnaki is, there was a war in their home planet Risk, the 8th planet in a tri-solar system called Iluin, the 19th galaxy. Risk was nearly destroyed by the disagreeable being Tarnush or Zuen for revenge when he wasn't made ruler. This is the war in heaven spoken of in Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. So they set out on missions across the skies in their mothership Nibiru, or smaller ships called Shams, to find gold. The gold could be changed into dust and used to create a shield to repair the ozone layer on Risk. Once they found Earth, they realized they had two resources they needed, gold and humans. At this point, we were less evolved as Homo erectus. The Anunnaki were mining the gold themselves, but it became tiresome, so they decided that we could do it for them. The problem was, we weren't much use as primitives, so they began abducting us from Earth to Mars for breeding in a laboratory called Shimti, meaning the place where the wind of life is breathed, in the Anima Project. You can read about the war in heavens in full in the Holy Tablets, 1, Tablet 4, verse 10. Scientists always speak of a missing link to explain a boost in our evolution. It is the Anunnaki who are behind it. They sped up our evolution by giving us their DNA in scientific experiments. Take a look at Genesis 2:4, which has been translated by Dr. York. These Elohim Anunnaki are the genealogy of the skies of Iluwin, a planet of another galaxy, and the planet Earth, Ki, when they were reconstructing and procreating in the day that the Elohim Anunnaki made the planet Earth and its skies appear. Now watch this clip from the movie The Fourth Kind.
That voice is speaking a language that predates Egyptian hieroglyphics. Now, I studied the Sumerian civilization for most of my career, and what I have found is intriguing. You can go into any Sumerian exhibit and see what I'm about to tell you. Drawings of rockets that look like Apollo launching into the sky. Etchings and sculptures of men in spacesuits and what looked like oxygen masks. Now, this artwork was created in the 4th millennium BCE, 4,000 years before Christ walked the earth. Genesis, Noah's Ark, to name a few. Both of these stories existed in Sumer 6,000 years before the Bible was written. Genesis came from the Sumerian epic of creation. Noah's Ark came from the Sumerian deluge. The alien god legend has its basis, its origins in Sumerian history. You can find everything I've described in the museum right now.
I hope this is beginning to make sense to you now. This completes the section on the Anunnaki. The Neteru. The Neteru are the Egyptian pantheon of gods. The word Neteru comes from the Egyptian root word neter or neter, represented by the axe hieroglyph, the symbol of a hatchet or axe. Neter is the original Egyptian word for god, or in plural form, Neteru, represented by 3 axe hieroglyphs, meaning gods. Neter phonetically sounds like nature, n sound, and the Neteru represent the different elements of nature. For example, Shu represents wind, Tefnut moisture, Geb earth, Re sun, Nut sky. Amun-Re is the chief god of the Neteru. Some of the Egyptian Neteru are Amun, Re, Haru, Asaru, Aset, Min, Hathor, Anubis, Satuk, Tefnut, Ma'at, Khnum, Tuti, Bes, Ta, Imhotep, Haru, Montu, amongst many others. Nubian scrolls list a total of 99 deities. There are several groups of Neteru that you should know about. The Ogdoad and the Ennead. The Ogdoad are a group of 8 Neteru, primordial supreme beings, in 4 pairs of a god and goddess. They are Nun and Nunet, representing night, He and Hehet, representing obscurity, Kek and Keket, representing secret, and Amun and Amunet, representing eternity. They are equivalent to Adam and Eve, the first beings first created every time the earth was destroyed. Each set of the Ogdoad represented genetic shifts every 4 generations, giving birth to various types of humans. The second group, the Ennead or Sajet, are a group of 9 gods in the Egyptian creation story. Atum, the self-created deity, is said to have sprang forth from the primeval waters of Nun. He created from himself Shu and Tefnut by masturbating or spitting, which made Shu, representing air or wind, and Tefnut, moisture or water. The siblings then mated to create Geb, earth, and Nut, sky. Geb and Nut in turn made 2 sets of twins, Aset or Isis, and Asaru or Osiris, and Satuk, Set and Neptet. Each of these pairs were siblings, then couples. The Neteru as gods fall under religion, one of the 4 core strands of Egyptian civilization. This concept permeated the philosophy of everyday life because the pharaoh was the Neteru's representative on earth, an embodiment of divinity. Each Neter or god had a cult center where they were worshipped. For example, Osiris was at Abydos, Amun, Thebes, and Ptah at Memphis. When you think of the Anunnaki and Neteru, you can rightly think of them as gods, but also as extraterrestrials. Yes, they are not of this earth, but of other star systems. The American government confirmed the existence of ETs in July 2023. The Anunnaki's home planet is from Risk in the 19th galaxy Uluin, while the Neteru are from the Sirius star constellation, the Dog Star, and have links with Orion, which the pyramids are aligned with. If you're asking yourself, why should I believe any of this? Well, do your own research and form your own conclusions. It's not my job to try and convince anyone about anything, but I will fight for black power against white Jesus and Allah in favor of our black gods, the Neteru, Anunnaki, and Orisha. One of the tests of truth in the Wapu is evidence. I like to cross-reference. So if something is true, it should be confirmed by multiple sources. Aside from the Wapu, risk is mentioned in the Quran, chapter 2, verse 3. We have provided for them. From the word razak, to provide. Also Allah's 17th attribute, the provider. I made 2 videos, the story of Haru and the Osiris myth recently, if you want more information about them. Now there's something very important about Osiris you should know. His body was rediscovered on January 1st, 1898 by a French archaeologist and Egyptologist named Emile Amelino. It was re-announced again in the year 2000 and the story resurfaced again 2022. It's not me saying this, it's them. They are the ones doing the excavations. Egyptologists never seriously questioned the possibility that the Egyptian gods might actually be real, but the discovery of his body confirms that Osiris did exist as a supreme being in Egypt, turning Egyptian mythology into factual evidence. As if this alone isn't a major revelation, it's opened up Pandora's box to the entire pantheon of Egyptian deities being real. Because if he's real, his family, Aset, Haru, Satuk, Nebthet, must also be real. Diop says, to Amelino, we owe the discovery of Osiris' tomb at Abydos, thanks to which Osiris could no longer be considered a mythical hero, but a historic personage, an initial ancestor of the pharaohs, a black ancestor, as was his sister, Isis. A god is a being that is in control of its environment, and one of its attributes is supreme power. Polytheism, the worship or belief in more than one god, encapsulates the framework of the Anunaqi Neteru, because a believer of a monotheistic religion may find it hard to take any of this seriously, and this is something I've heard myself personally. Egypt and the Egyptians mention the time of the gods, where the land was ruled by deities. According to Manetho, in the beginning, 7 deities ruled Egypt for 12,300 years: Ptah for 9,000, Ra for 1,000, Shu for 700, Geb for 500, Osiris for 450, Seth for 350, and Horus for 300 years. The second dynasty of deities included Thoth, Maat, and 10 others, who ruled it for 1,570 years. The third dynasty consisted of 30 demi-deities, who reigned for 3,650 years. I've spoken about the Anunnaki and the Neteru for a while now, but there's one critical thing you must overstand. The Anunnaki and Neteru are our ancestral parents, woolly-haired beings with 9 ether hair, 9 to the ninth power of 9. Dr. York writes, all races from this planet have had extraterrestrial involvement, from the Sumerians to the Aztecs, the Hopis to the Aborigines to the Egyptians to the original Nubian Hebrews in the form of prophets. The Aryans also had star visitations, the Ashtar command from Pleiades and Aldebaran, the Procyon and the Venerians. Some of us are descendants of these beings. You need to understand that your governments are hiding the truth from you. They want dumb slaves they can control. These gods or sky beings are known across the world by different names such as the Anunaqi Neteru, Orisha, Elohim, Thunderbirds, Allahumma, Nomos, Kachina, etc. The Bible tells us in Genesis 6:2 that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, humans, were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Genesis 6:4 reads, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So you have 2 sets of beings, demigods, who would be the Nephilim, fallen angels, Giborim, mighty men, giants, the beings that sided with Lucifer, Shaitan, Zuen, or whatever name you want to use, in the war of the heavens and mortals, men or daughters of men. The sons of God, or demigods, can be agreeable, good, or disagreeable, evil. There are agreeable gods or angels, who have been sent here to guide us, advance our consciousness, and keep us off the wrong path. That's why there is always a war between 2 brothers, Enki and Enlil, Osiris and Setuk, Cain and Abel, etc. The Anunnaki or Neteru are either 180 degrees agreeable or 180 degrees disagreeable. If 180 degrees of the agreeable conquers 180 degrees of the disagreeable, they are endowed with 360 degrees agreeable. Next, they will meet a counterpart that is 360 degrees disagreeable and will have to conquer that and move further up to 720 degrees of agreeableness and start their journey to become an Etherian, which is pure energy. The Holy Tablets mention this in Tablet 1, Chapter 1, verse 59. It is he, Anu, who is transformed from an Etherian into a flesh-embodied and then returns at will to ether. In other words, a god can control matter and does not have to limit itself to human form and death to reach a new state of consciousness. If you apply the ancient alien story to Jesus, then it makes a hell of a lot more sense. Rather than just being the son of God, a fictitious, unproven entity, who was born by miraculous conception, it makes more sense if he was the son of an angel, Gabriel, or extraterrestrial, making him half man, half angelic. Jesus says himself that he came from above, and he is not of this world. Do you know what he means when he says, in my Father's house there are many mansions? I'll wait. He is speaking about the different star constellations in the universe: Orion, Sirius, Betelgeuse, Pleiades, Illusion, etc. The Holy Tablets say, you should know that eventually the time will come when these supreme beings, Anunnaki, would have to descend upon this planet Earth in order to guide the inhabitants back toward their home. in and beyond the stars. Will the Anunnaki and Neteru ever come back? Who knows? We're yet to see. Some say Nibiru is already here, and there have been strange sightings of what may be Nibiru outside our atmosphere. Dr. York groups the Anunnaki and Neteru a lot together. For example, he says in Mission Earth, they are also called Neteru, which is the Egyptian term for Anunnaki. The Anunnaki and Neteru are separate beings from Sumeria and Egypt, and not to be mistaken as the same or equivalent gods, since several equivalents have been made in the past, e.g., Enki, Thebes, and Enlil-Tatar. According to Dr. York in recent updates, the Anunnaki are not for us, and are disagreeable in nature. But he also says they are our ancestors in Parshutat. He is not the first person to slam the Anunnaki, and I get why people share that viewpoint. They're associated with abducting people, conducting experiments on us, and even influencing world leaders to act on their behalf. Personally, I don't think all of them are bad. Some might be good, just like there are good humans and bad humans. Don't forget in Sumerian doctrine it was Enlil who fought for us. If we share their DNA, which we probably do, we'll link to them whether we like it or not, and are likely to feel some kind of attachment or love to them as our parents. The purpose of this video was to introduce the Anunaqi Neteru to you, but not as mythology or abstract concepts, but as real people, gods and goddesses, our etheric parents who once lived and have ascended. We should connect with them, tap into their energy to become powerful beings. Our ancestral link to these beings is 100% why I'm a Noarian. That's right, everyone speaks about them like they're separate to us or unrelated, that there's no connection, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Every other race worships beings in their image and likeness, and they are better off for it. Until we see divinity in ourselves, there is no black power, or spiritual, economic, or community progress. Just like Sasuke from Naruto tapped into his Ichigo roots to unlock his Sharingan, a world of supreme power and godship awaits us, only if we dare to make the first step towards them. This can be done by way of prayer, Ashutat, a pilgrimage, El Maguraj, and rituals of the African traditional religious systems. That's it for this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe and support the channel through Patreon, PayPal, or by buying any of my books. Shogun Starchild, Black Egyptians. You cannot stop my fate.